and welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. You know, some of us don't know why we're here. Some of us aren't sure. Some of us are always searching. We get to talk to a young lady who has a pretty darn good idea at this point in time why she's here. Because she's a author. She is a mega podcast and radio show guest, and she was on a friend of mine's show the other day, who's also on the Brushwood Media Network, I do believe, Mary Jackson.
Oh, yes.
And she is a speaker. She's a advocate for special people, and she actually lives with a special person. And we're going to talk about her relationship to him and also the talent that kid has to being able to draw. It just is nothing short of amazing. So with that, I would like to welcome I'm sorry, what's your name again? I've never met you before. No, I'm kidding.
Ouch, that hurts a little bit. Maybe this isn't my favorite show anymore.
Randi-Lee Bowslaugh, and she has been a regular on Positive Talk because she is just such a cool person, and we get along great. And she's got so much to say, and so many ways to say it.
Yeah, it's almost like I never shut up.
I know the feeling.
That would be what my husband says, anyways.
Well, I'm sure he absolutely loves to be there. Most men do. They love to just hang out and to watch you talk.
He would have to be married to me. We're coming up to 17 years together next month. 17.
Oh my goodness gracious. And Tyler Witowski, well, never mind. He says, you're great. You were born great and you stayed great your whole life. It's amazing.
Thank you. I want to say it's Wachowski.
You think?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. And he's also an author.
Yeah.
He's been on the show before. He is a friend of the show, and we really appreciate having him chime in there, because you really are a special one. And hold on, let's see. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. You have a new book coming out.
I do.
And it's a children's book,
Yes.
or it's, as I like to say, and by the way, you nailed it, Randy. Nailed it.
I thought so.
It's a children's book or people who act like children.
Yeah, exactly. Big kids. That's what we call them. Big kids.
And it is your son has done a lot of the artwork in it.
Yeah, like check this out, dude. Like, oh my goodness, look at that. It's amazing. Where's my favorite one? Got to show off my favorite one. There it is. See the little tiny kitties?
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. And is he 19, 18,
17? He'll be 18 later this year, yeah.
And is he in high school? Is he a senior?
He graduates this year, and next year he's going to go to the baking and pastry arts program at the college.
Good for him. That was something that he wanted to do. The last time you were here, he was real excited because he came to you because he had a letter in hand, and it said that he'd been accepted to the school. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. So he has officially accepted their letter, and now we're just getting everything organized. I mean, finishing up the year with high school, but getting everything organized to start next year. I just can't believe it.
Well, it's been such a journey for you through his school years, and now it's coming to an end. Because he's now, let's see, it's the end of his senior year, so that means he's got the prom coming up, and
Yeah, he's not going. So he doesn't actually physically go to school. He does all of his work online and at home. So he doesn't really have anybody to go to prom with. All his friends are online.
but somebody can get offline and go with them.
Well, they could if they lived closer than 6 hours away.
Oh, my
The
goodness
closest one
gracious.
lives 6 hours away, so it'd be a little bit hard.
That would be tough. So he's been homeschooled basically, but
Yeah.
kind of not, but kind of so, yeah?
Like
Well,
this weird hybrid version, yeah.
yeah, you're in
But it works.
Canada, so it's
I
different in
am.
Canada.
Well, we created something different. I was very pushy saying, "No, this is what we're gonna do because this is what we know works." COVID was the greatest thing to happen for him because it proved to the school that he was very capable of doing the work, but from home. So after that, I kept referring back and go, "So remember when COVID and he did all his work and got like A's every time? Why would I try to send him to school so he can fail again?" It just doesn't make sense. I mean, and I said to the school once, I said, if you want me to send him to school, I will gladly send him to school. You're going to end up suspending him for an outburst, but I'll send him to school if you want.
Well, and I remember the last time that we talked, there was a story about a new principal or a person in authority that
Yes.
came and was like, "No, I'm sorry, but this is the rules, and this is how we have to follow the rules because they're, like, I don't know, the rules."
Yeah. We
And
don't abide by those rules.
well, no, the fun thing is that you were not going to take no for an answer, and that the rules don't apply if they apply to some kids, but not everybody.
Right? That's just it. They need to take a real good look at those rules because for kids like Lev, like they just don't work. So go back to your archaic system and fix it because it doesn't work.
Well, and he is much happier and probably has a lot less stress
Yes.
by working out of his home with,
Mhm.
where all of his comfort is
Yeah.
and stuff, rather than to go to school, and then there's the bullying thing, and there's the
Mhm.
other things that go along with that. And why put a kid through that if he
Right?
can prove he can do the work without doing all that crap?
Well, that's just it. School is not the be all and end all. Like teachers so often think that school is the be all and end all, but school is a glorified babysitter, right? Like
Yep.
you don't they go to school for what, 6 hours a day? The amount of work they do adds up to only about 2. So they're glorified babysitters to keep them there for 6 hours. And if the kid is going there and getting bullied, then how is it being socialized? That doesn't even make sense. You can be socialized through your online gaming, through going out if you do say soccer or kickboxing or like sports outside of the house. Like Lev goes to horses. Loves the horse riding. So he goes there to the barn and gets along with the people there because everybody has a common interest there. Whereas if you're going to school, I mean, the likelihood of him getting picked on is much higher, and it's definitely happened.
Speaking of which, it would be wrong of me if I didn't bring up the fact that you are a nationally known kickboxer in Canada. Such a lovely, sweet, kind woman until you get in front of her and she's going to kick your ass.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't so much do it anymore, but definitely I have a row of medals. Actually, my grandson was over there one day. He goes, "Grammy, what are all those up there?" I said, "Oh, those are Grammy's medals." Why? Because Grammy was in kickboxing. I won a lot. That's cool. I'm like, yeah, it is kind of cool, isn't it?
Now, first of all, Grammy, really? Come on.
Yes, Grammy. He's my favorite.
You're not old enough to be a Grammy.
Very true. And yet I am.
That's 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 pretty remarkable. Which means now this isn't from your son who's in graduating. This is
No, this is the older one.
And how old is the older one?
20.
Ah, so you had the older one young,
Well, the older
and
one's actually my stepdaughter.
okay.
I
And
only had to give birth to one, thank goodness, because I wouldn't want to do that again.
I wouldn't want to do it the first time. I tell you.
Right?
I,
I mean, I had it really easy when other women listen to my story of birth. They're very jealous because it does not mimic most of them. It was very easy.
well, you know, if you haven't been married to somebody who's going through that process, you really haven't lived. Because I tell you, it was like, holy crap, how do you get that big there and moving and then it's gonna go where? And
Right?
and it's
It's pretty insane what happens to the body.
oh, I cannot believe the human body can actually do that.
Right.
What it does. It's remarkable. And then now my the mother of my children went through both of them without any anesthetic at all.
Dang. I had a Demerol, so epidurals go in your spine. Demerol is just like a shot in the butt.
Yeah.
So I just had that. I didn't have like the extreme one, but yeah, it was great.
Yeah, she both times when she got into it was it was so funny. This is just a story for the if you've had kids, you understand what I'm about to say. Is that for our second child, we she started feeling, that the labor pains were coming on early in the morning, and so we got dressed and we went down there, and she was very normal and cognitive and fine and stuff, and so we got her into her room, and the nurse came and she was like, okay, well, everything's fine. I'm sure you've got a long way to go and stuff. But here, let me just check.
That's what
And
they said to me. This is very similar to my story right now.
and they said, but we'll just check to make sure so that we can get the doctor, we can plan ahead and wake up the doctor
But she
when
was ready right then, wasn't she?
it was a 9.
I was only a 7 at the time, but yeah. They did the same thing. They're like, "Oh, delivery room."
Yeah, her cervix was at a 9, and it was you should have seen the look on the nurse's face. It was like, let me just check and see if what
Right?
we're and and it was like, excuse me, and she left and said, "Get him here now."
Yep.
And
Yep.
so he didn't get a chance to brush his teeth or comb his hair in.
That's awesome. Yep, super similar story. All the nurses kept saying, "Oh, you're as cool as a cucumber. Cool as a cucumber."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah. Well, you fake them out too.
Apparently.
Well, and for all the moms out there, speaking of which, of course, Mother's Day comes every
Yes,
year,
it
and it's
does.
coming this weekend for here. So, if you're listening to this far into the future, every day, in my opinion, is Mother's Day.
Oh, it's so sweet.
You know, but it's so true. And every Father's Day comes once a year because we I like to say when the kids misbehave, I say, "Well, look, you had them last." Uh,
Yeah, I'm always the bad guy, so
yeah, I was responsible for 15 seconds, and the rest of it was you, babe. So
yeah, I'm still the bad guy, even with my grandson. I'm always the one that says no. Grandpa says no to nothing, but it's so funny because he will look at Grandpa square in the eye, look at my husband, and then I go, "I don't love you, Grandpa." Why? Because I love Grammy. No matter what I say, even if I'm saying no, you can't buy a new toy, he gets mad at me and he stomps his feet, but he goes, "I still love you." Yep, yeah. So Grammy's the
oh,
fave.
and then there is your heart melting all over the floor.
I know, and I'm like, okay, I want to give in again. I just want to give in. You're so cute.
Well, there's method to his madness. There's going to be a time when you are going to give in, and he's going to go, "Yes, I won."
Right. So far, I've held out. So my kids used to do the same thing. They used to be like, "But please, give me all the cat eyes." I'm like, the more you ask me, the more the answer is no.
Oh, oh, you were one of those tough ones.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, but you got to do what you got to do. So, by the way, for ladies and gentlemen, if you want to talk to somebody who is truly an author, she will tell you she has no earthly idea how many books she's actually written.
Yeah, we were just discussing this. He's like, "How many have you read?" I'm like, "I don't know, over 10 maybe. I don't know."
So we had to count them up, and it turns out there were like 19, and she was like, "Holy Moses, I had no idea."
I didn't, and I've got like I mean, this one's coming out. It's pre-order right now. It comes out in August. I have another one that's about 3/4 finished. I have another one I just started. Well, actually, one that's finished being written, waiting on pictures. I have 3 that are like in the works, kind of on their move.
Now, is your son going to do the illustrations for the next book as well?
Yes, yeah. So the next one is another Woofy. So the Woofy is a series. So the Woofy Says Goodbye, the one I was showing the picture of. That's the second one in the series. The first one was Woofy Goes to the Hospital. And so Woofy is this cute, cuddly, stuffed little dog. And it came to be because it's my aunt's creation, actually. So she's actually listed as one of the authors on there. Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
So I didn't list her on the first one because she's like, "I didn't do anything." I'm like, "I'm listing you this time. Like, get over it. I'm doing it." So when way back in the 90s, when my cousin was in grade school, they would take turns bringing home this stuffed dog. Pretty sure you're not allowed to anymore with germs, but you used to bring home the same thing to all the different households.
Yep.
And so when it was my cousin's turn, he had to bring the stuffed dog home. And part of the assignment was write a short story about it. Like, have the parent write the short story about what you did with the dog. Because they were like, I don't know, kindergarten, grade 1, like super little. And so my aunt came up with this story because my cousin was on his way to get his tonsils out. So my aunt wrote the story about Woofy going with them to the hospital and getting the tonsils out. So that was the one that came first. So she was cleaning her basement during COVID, found it, and went, "Oh, this is cute. Could you do something with this?" So I go, "Sure, let me see." And I'm like, "It's got some good bones. It's got some good structure." So I did some finessing. And then Woofy Goes to the Hospital came up. And Lev actually had to do art assignments for school at the time. So I was like, "Hey, use this, do it." So the first one is all hand drawn. This one here, he drew on the app, but the first one's all hand drawn. And so he used it for his art assignment. I used it for the book. Win-win. And then we're like, "This is kind of cool. What if you could go on other adventures?" I'm like, "Okay, so you write the first draft. I'll finalize the drafts. Lev will do the pictures. Boom, Woofy goes all over the world."
So now there are 2 books out, and the third one's coming out.
Yeah.
How many do you think is gonna? There's a lot of places in the world to go.
Yeah. So, I mean, until we run out of ideas, maybe he has 50 books, maybe 100 books. I don't know until we run out of ideas. But the one that's being worked on right now that Lev's working on the art for, Woofy Goes to the Dentist. Or cavity.
I was just thinking that's brilliant because what you can do is a children's book. And so if you have a child and you're about to take them to the dentist, you
Exactly.
can then get the book and kind of give them a preview of coming attractions of what it's like to go to the dentist.
Exactly. And Woofy he helps all the kids be brave. So, because sometimes it's just a matter of having somebody, stuffed animal, person, dog, whatever, having somebody there. So Woofy's just, he's just the cuddly thing that is there for them.
Yeah, to give them strength and character. Because the
Exactly.
dentist that I grew up with was like, Novocaine is expensive. And and he's just a kid anyway, so we don't need to give him very much. And so it was like, don't don't let me go there again. He hurts me.
Aw.
And
I bit my dentist when I was little. So
well, the first time when I was little, the first time that I went, and they put Novocaine in, I felt this pain in my cheek. I couldn't feel it. I didn't know what it was.
right.
So I bit it, and it turned out I was biting my cheek. And so then the dentist came in, and I had blood dripping out of my corner of my
Oh,
mouth.
yeah.
he,
Yeah.
he was like, I don't want this kid ever in my dentist chair again.
Yeah, they didn't really care for me either after I bit them, so
I think that I think biting him would be more fun than biting myself.
probably, and at least then you wouldn't be hurt.
Yeah.
But that's the
So-
thing when you're all frozen up, right? Like, you can't feel what you're doing, like, "Oh, no."
And when you've never experienced it before,
Right?
it's like, how come I can't feel my face anymore? It doesn't work
Exactly.
and stuff. So, but I love the premise of the book, because then you can kind of introduce some of those things to the child before they go, so that they have a good idea of what's happening.
Exactly. So it's kind of fun to come up with these little ideas. And then this one that's on the pre-sale, it's Wolfie goes home with a little girl who has a bunch of different animals, but one is a hamster, and the hamster dies, which is very sad. It's actually dedicated to Lev's hamster that he had, that I think I might have accidentally killed. So okay, so he had this hamster. Its name was Ice Cream, and we were painting his room. So I moved Ice Cream over, like, it was closer to the vent. It was summertime, so the vent is pushing out the cold air, and the window's open for the whatever. I hadn't painted yet or nothing, but I didn't know that the cold can put hamsters into hibernation, and they don't normally go into hibernation, and if they're in it for too long, then they don't come back out of it. I didn't know that, and I think I inadvertently maybe killed him.
And we're talking with Randi-Lee Bowslaugh, the killer of small
Hamster
hamster.
murderer.
Yeah.
I didn't
And-
mean to.
And go to her website, which is rbwriting.ca, because she's in the Canadian place, don't you know? And
I think you have a better Canadian accent than me.
we need to take a quick break here, and by God, we'll be right back after this message. Stay right with us.
They have your eyes. They have your ears. They have your smile. Now all they need is a little more of your time. Make a difference in your child's life, because anyone can be a father. It takes time to be a dad.
All righty then, that'll wake you up just a little bit, don't you know? Welcome
Did
back.
you go from a Canada accent to a Scottish one?
Yeah, exactly. That's how I roll, baby. And next, I'll be doing a Southern accent, but I have to be careful with that one, because I only do that when I'm going to say something stupid, and
Bless your heart.
so only the Southern accent works for that kind of stuff, don't you know?
Oh, bless your heart. I'm not that good at it, but I try hard.
But I've got the premise for another book for you, for your what's you called again?
Woofy. So Woofy is the main character, and then all the books will be Woofy does whatever.
Woofy gets a colonoscopy. You can make that for the older people in the audience.
Well, maybe once the class Woofy's in grows up. I don't know.
Well, that I mean, it's a long story. It's a 3-day story that you could be telling about the adventures of
Yup.
putting the seatbelt on the toilet seats to keep your butt on there and stuff.
Yeah, if I know a few people in the last little while who have had to go for them, and yep, I don't think so. Actually, my aunt, the one who co-authored it, she had to go for one, so she would know all about it for the first draft.
Yeah, she would, and she would be somebody that would be a good subject. Well, I had to go have one, and the beautiful thing about, and actually ended up having to have surgery, but the beautiful thing about where they did it for me is that they knock you out.
Okay.
So you're not aware and you're not awake of anything that's going on.
Oh, okay. That's kind of good.
Yeah, well, in my case, it was really good because I had there were 3 nurses in the room, and they were all young and very pretty. Now, for those of you who may not know about a colonoscopy, you get to put your sunny side up, but it's not the right side, if you know what I mean.
You're just mooning the world.
You're just mooning the world. So after the procedure was done, and then you have to go talk to the doctor and stuff. Me being me, I have got this really kind of weird sense of humor. So I said to the doc, so doc, when you have these pretty women that are in the room and you're now asleep and they take the sheet off, what kind of comments do they make about the patient that is that is now
Oh dear.
flipped over? And he looked at me and he smiled a little bit and said, sorry, what stays in the operating room, what happens there stays there. So we're now in Vegas. Is that what we are?
Yep.
So,
I got married there. Did you know that?
you got married in Las Vegas?
I did out in the desert.
Was it a long planned thing, or did you meet somebody and just say, hey, let's get married?
No, we'd been together for 5 years. It was totally planned. Oh, we got married out in Fire Valley, Red Rock? I don't know. I always get them mixed up. But out in the actual desert area, just past where they filmed The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh,
In
yeah.
that area. Yeah. A killer bee got caught up in my veil and everything. It was very not cool. They're ginormous. I did not like it. But no, it was awesome.
Yeah, the only time I've ever been into the desert in Vegas outside of town is the Bunny Ranch. Have you ever heard of that?
Is it?
I'm not going to tell you about it.
I'm just picturing a ranch full of bunnies, so just leave me with that.
Okay. No, it's a place full of women. With it, anyway.
I told you to leave me with the bunnies.
I'm sorry.
I thought we were friends.
It was a research expedition. I didn't do anything there. I just wanted to go see the Bunny Ranch because that was the best little whorehouse in Texas. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
With Burt Reynolds and Dolly Parton and no, you missed. Anybody who has the opportunity, go and Google that and then rent that. It's best little whorehouse in Texas. I can't remember how it starts, but so this was like that. So I wanted to go see it. But anyway, I digress. We're talking with. You get me going off on so many different tangents.
Oh, I'm just so sorry.
It is you, and it's because of your skills in writing and presenting yourself and doing, you're on lots of podcasts and you do lots of speaking and stuff. And it's so nice that you tell me that I'm at least in the top 10.
You definitely are. I would even go so far as like top 5.
Ooh. Okay, so who's better? No, never mind.
Well, mine, but
well, of course, yours is. Yours is incredible. And you're still doing it, yes?
Yeah, I have to actually look, but I think I've hit the 200 episode mark. We've been 3 years now doing that one, and my friend and I are actually going to be starting another one. I will be under the same umbrella of it, but yeah, we're gonna do another kind of podcast.
What are you gonna do for that one?
So this is a pretty big announcement because I haven't told anybody else. So you are the first to hear
Yay.
this. So for those who don't know, my podcast that we were just talking about, it's called The Write or Die Show. I talk to other authors, other writers from across the world. We talk about mental health. Mental health is a pretty deep subject, and it's kind of pretty interesting. So my friend and I, we are going to delve behind it and talk about the history of mental health.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Right? Like, come on, lobotomies and institutions and, just all the other stuff too. But those are the really super cool ones. But yeah, so we're doing that. So she's got some research already done for the first episode, which we're going to record this weekend. But as I told you before, she had to put her doggo down. So we're not going to do that because we would like fun energy, not sad energy. So totally understandable. I would be a complete wreck if I had to do that. But so our first episode will be coming up, and so she goes just a little bit into it, and it's going to be called Bedlam Behind Mental Illness.
Very nice. That's a good title. Do you have any idea what the first show is going to be about?
So the style that we're doing it, I'm a little bit kept in the dark. I know she is going to talk about the meaning of bedlam because, I mean, you don't hear that word used too much. And then talk a little bit about just mental health as a general for the first episode. But the style we're doing is where one of us does the research, the other has no idea, so that you're telling the other about it. So the other's reactions are like true and like, what? I didn't know that. So it's gonna be, I think it should be fun and like kind of shocking. But she came up with that style and I was like, that sounds fun. That sounds like a lot of fun. Plus,
That will be. But
she likes research. I don't. So
but the other thing about that is in order to pull that off, you have to have somebody who's very quick.
yes.
Because if you if you don't have somebody who's very quick, it ends up being like, oh, really? And so, then what happened? And it's not nearly as exciting.
Yeah. So I think it should be fun.
Oh, yeah. And when we come back, I'm going to see if I can't guess what bedlam means and stuff. And we need to take a station break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Randi-Lee Bowslaugh is with us, and she is a fine author and podcaster and mother and lady and grandma and all that stuff. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And Randi-Lee Bowslaugh is with us today. She's a fine young lady, and she's done quite a little bit. And she's, like I said, an author, a podcaster of note. She's got a brand new podcast. She's got a new book coming out. You're just busier than a one-armed paper hanger.
Paper hanger? What the heck is a paper hanger?
That is, I used to work for a company out of Arkansas, and Siloam Springs, to be exact. And in the South, they have got a list of sayings that they use that nobody else knows where they came from, or nobody else from any part of the country. So a one-armed paper hanger is somebody who hangs wallpaper,
Oh,
and which is something that nobody does anymore.
no, not really.
And so it's a one-armed paper hanger is or a one-legged boot kicker or something. I don't know. But bedlam, I would think, means in the setting of a and I looked it up, so I know what it means. But what I was going to say was that it's like in the mental institution, it has a bed and laudanum, and people are tied to the bed so that the nurses don't have to worry about them or take care of them or any of that kind of stuff. So I would be interested to know next time you're on the show, which shall be soon. Next time you'll have to tell me what bedlam means.
Well, you could just listen to my show when it comes out.
I could do that. I could. And when does it come out?
So
Don't give me
I
that
don't
one.
have an exact date because our recording did get pushed back.
Hold on. How am I supposed to know when that's going to be?
Well,
if
don't you just
know when it's
subscribe
gonna
to my
be?
channel and get notifications?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah. I really
I
could.
do that to yours. Yeah.
And if somebody wants to subscribe to your channel, how do they do that?
So if you're watching it on YouTube, you can look up RB Media or Write or Die Show. Both terms will bring it up, and you can subscribe to it there because the Bedlam podcast is going to be on there. If you want to just listen to it, because we do video recording, because I've been told I make some funny facial expressions.
Yes, you do.
But if you are more of a listener than a watcher, then basically anywhere you can listen to podcasts. I usually, what is that? Spotify is what I got, but Apple Podcasts, whatever. And then again, it's going to be under RB Media or Write or Die Show.
Yes, indeed. And you can always tune into my radio show, which is on the Brushwood Media Network, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. And this show is going to be on that show. And so you can find all the information there. It's great fun to have you. And by the way, you're right. You have a very expressive face. And so what happened, that's why your grandson loves you, because you're very expressive, but he also knows, I'm sure, not to cross you, because there is a moment where he can read the fact that I better take a step back here because I may have crossed the line.
Yeah, there's been a couple times because he's 4, so he's in that kind of temper tantrum-y stage.
Oh, yes.
And just like his mom was at that age, it's like, I'm gonna stomp my feet and have my hands and I just look at him and I go, why are you yelling at me right now? I'm not yelling at you. And he kind of is like, what? Huh? What's happening right now? Like, I think I more confuse him than anything else, because I'm like, that's not very nice to yell at me.
No, it's not. I'm sorry, Grammy. I love you.
That's usually the response I get. And I go, okay, come here, my baby boy. Let's have a snuggle.
By the way, you speaking of 4-year-old children, you know what the definition of karma is?
Isn't it like what goes around comes around?
My son is living a karmic existence because he had a younger brother. Well, still does. They're now in their 30s, so they're grown up men who continually at times act like children.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll get them to get your book, and maybe that'll help them grow up just a little bit.
I'll have to write one about that.
Exactly. Grown-ups who can't actually be grown-ups. Anyway, so when his younger brother was 4 years old and he was 7 years old, because there's a 3-year difference.
Yeah.
And
Same with mine.
Yeah, and the young one could always get the older one into trouble.
Oh, I did that with my brother.
And because he's 4, and everybody's, oh, he's so cute. He's 4.
Right?
Matter of fact, one year for Halloween, we dressed him up, put a cowlick in his hair, and he was Dennis the Menace.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
And so now my son, fast forward 30 years, My son is now married to a young lady who has a 4-year-old children who is the spitting image of his brother when he was 4. So now he has to live through that all over again.
That's funny. Yep, that's karma right there.
So tell us what's coming new for you in the future.
Well, the book, the podcast. But so I've talked already a little bit about the new book, Wolfie Says Goodbye. I'll show it again because it's just so cute and I'm so excited for it of how cute it is. So that is on pre-order on Amazon. It comes out officially on August 11th. And then the Bedlam podcast hopefully will be out in the next, I want to say 2 weeks. That's the big hope. We're going to be doing that one twice a month to start anyways, and then we'll see how it goes and scheduling and stuff. And in the meantime, I've got a few things in the works. So the next Woofy one, I did mention Woofy goes to the dentist. And so my kid is working on those pictures now. If this last one is any indication, it'll be 2 years, but we'll see. And right. And then my next adult book, I'm doing a throwback. So for those who don't know, my very first book that I published 2017, where I'm like, I'm just going to publish a book. I'm not an author. I'm just going to publish a book, was poetry. So I'm doing a throwback. My next one is poetry.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. But unlike that first one, so the first one's called Thoughts of a Wanderer. I named it that because at the time that I wrote those poems in that book, I was totally lost, like super depressed. I had no idea what I was doing in my life, thought that my life was over. I mean, I was going to end it. So the poems are dark, like dark in that book. This one that I've been working on, so I want to say I have about 45 poems or so in it. The aim is to get to around 50 for this book. And so the poems in it, though, are more about taking back my life, taking ownership and moving forward, making decisions that are right for me. So it's going to be called Thoughts of a Warrior. So Thoughts of a Wanderer is the first one, being lost. Thoughts of a Warrior, finding yourself and getting better. And with the poems in it, it's going to have a poem on the one side of the page. The other side is going to have like a picture of nature, which I've been taking because I have this fancy new cell phone that takes epic pictures and like a fancy GoPro and stuff. So I've been taking a lot of nature pictures of a lot of like different sunsets, different birds. I have got some pictures from when we were snorkeling of like the schools of fish. It looks really cool. I even have a picture, so I will have taken all the pictures in the book, so there's no like copyright, whatever. One of them, when we were snorkeling, we saw a lionfish. Do you know what that is?
They're very dangerous.
They are. So the lionfish was on the other side of the dock. It wasn't on the side that we were snorkeling because I don't think I would have got in the water with that thing. It is so cool looking. So I stuck my GoPro. I had it on the stick. I stuck it in the water and took a picture of it. And so I'm hoping that I can, because obviously I had to stick it in upside down to be able to do it. And so I'm hoping I'll be able to get a good snapshot from the video I took and be able to invert it and whatever and be able to use it because it's so cool looking. But yeah, so it's going to have like some kind of nature picture because I just find that's really refreshing. And it's one of the big things that on my show we talk about for coping with mental health is nature. Nature is great. So it'll have that, and then I'll have the Taking Back Your Life kind of poems. And yeah, so that should be out. I'm thinking I want to have it out and available before Christmas because I think it'd be a nice Christmas present. And I'm kind of timing it where Woofy Says Goodbye comes out at the same time this one's going on pre-order. So then it's kind of I'm not promoting two books at once, but they're still like overlappy. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Overlappy. That's a nice word.
Right? I know. I'm an author. Overlappy is fine.
But I gotta ask you, and I know we've talked about it before, but I keep forgetting because you present yourself as being so happy, so together, so your life is perfect.
It's my meds.
Well, it can't all be meds, but some of it is. But
Therapy.
therapy and having a coach is always very helpful and stuff. And so I'm so pleased that you are the person you are today, and you've gotten through that. And because there are people that are listening to this, Randi-Lee, that are going through it.
Yes.
Going through it. And I would love for you to give some advice.
Do you want a super special preview of what will be in this book?
Yes, please.
Okay. So in Thoughts of, because this goes perfectly with what we were just talking about. In Thoughts of a Wanderer, my favorite poem that sums up exactly how I feel when depressed goes like this. And I don't even need to read it because I love it so much I have it memorized. So it goes, I look in the mirror and what do I see? An empty soul staring back at me. Love is lacking, soul is blackening. Emotion stirred and at bay. I have nothing left to give away. That describes how I feel when I'm depressed. Completely, just utterly void of anything. Because that's my favorite one, I took that poem and I've redone it for this book because of all the therapy I've been through, all of the coping strategies I've learned, all of the climbing over the mountain, let's say. So here is the reverse of that super sad, depressing poem. I look in the mirror and what do I see? An empty soul staring back at me. That was my life for so very long. There was nowhere to belong. It took me a while to find who I was. What was my life and my because? I wasn't really here, I just subsist. But now I'm happy and I truly exist. Now I look in the mirror and what do I see? A soul full of life stares back at me.
That is remarkable. That is awesome. You are, Randi-Lee, in so many ways, your advocacy for your child, being an author, being a podcaster, coming here, and the energy that you have, and to make everybody feel good just by being around you. Have you noticed that people kind of gravitate to you because they love just absorbing your energy and your vibration because it is so good, it is so high?
I mean, I can't say I've really thought about it before, but I mean, yeah, if I have to stop and think about it, people have always kind of been like very talkative to me. Like this girl's not gonna be mean to me just because she's gonna like just accept whatever crazy that I am. Because we've all got a little something something.
Well, you know what? We're going to talk about a little something something when we come back from this break. We're again talking with Randi-Lee Bowslaugh. Go to her website, please, and the website again is rbwriting.ca, because she's in Canadian. I've already done that once.
You have already done that one.
Yeah, I know. But I'm old now. That was so long ago, I forgot. We'll be right back.
A lifetime of savings can disappear overnight. Millions of dollars are stolen every day from unsuspecting older adults by family members, caregivers, and trusted professionals. If you suspect financial exploitation, call the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116 or go online to the National Adult Protective Services Association to be connected with help in your area.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald on the Brushwood Media Network. I got to tell you, Randi-Lee Bowslaugh is with us, and she is, and you're just one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. You really are.
Thank you.
It is so much, but because the cool thing is that everybody goes through poo-poo in life from time to time, and it's really cool when I can present somebody like you who has gone through her share of what I like to call a bad country music song, And
Yeah. Yep. I've never heard it worded that way, but I'm gonna use that.
you are welcome to it, my friend.
I'm gonna write it down in my book.
Yeah, because in my in my world, it was like my dad died, my dog died, my wife left, I lost my house, I went, and it went down the list of all the things that happened that was going wrong. But at the end of the day, they're just experiences that I got to have, and now they're they are part of who I am, but they don't define me. It's just like your past is part of who you were, but it doesn't, you have never let it define you.
Yes, and that was such a big part of why I wrote the Embracing Me book that came out a couple years ago. And I actually say it right in there because it's one of my favorite things to say, well, to myself, to everybody who will listen. I have depression. Depression does not have me. And it's so important to remember that even though you might have depression or PTSD, bipolar, OCD, autism, whatever, you have it, but it does not need to own you. It does not need to define you.
No, and you can work through it and understand it and I think you can understand it to the point where you can feel like it's coming, and then you can avoid it maybe, or minimize it.
Sometimes, yeah, I would say minimize is probably the best word, because when a depressive episode hits for me, I have clued in a lot now to how it feels at the beginning, so I don't let it get super low, because as soon as you start to feel it, you can be like, okay, I need some puppy snuggles. It is time. Or some kitty cuddles. I got kitties too. Don't want to leave them out. Go into nature, whatever, talk to a friend, talk to your therapist, whatever it happens to be. When you could start to feel it starting, and then go and do whatever coping strategy works for you. Oh, the relief. It's so much better. It may not make it go away, but it definitely makes it bearable.
I agree with you. Just going into nature and watching the birds, the leaves as the wind moves them, the trees go back and forth, the clouds moving in the sky. It is an amazing, we live in a friggin' amazing place.
Yeah.
And if you can recognize that you're part of this great big thing, and a very important part, because you're unique to anybody else on the planet. There are 8 billion of us. Do you know, I was reading about DNA. Do you know how many actual combinations of DNA there are?
I've never thought about it, so no.
There are literally trillions upon trillions of combinations of DNA, and there are 8 billion people, and so we're all unique. Not any one of us is not the same as like somebody else,
and some of us are missing some of it.
Yeah. And
that's something I have not. You don't know.
Which is what?
I'm missing a part of it.
You're missing part of DNA.
Yeah, one of my chromosomes. A little itty bitty smidgen of it. What is it? 8p.23.1.
And so what does that mean for you?
I have no idea. It's there hasn't been enough research on it yet to actually know. So it's more like, so Lev has it too. So it was actually, we were at Bethesda, which is our local autism organization. So we were there. They're like, hey, do you want to go for gene testing for him? I said, sure. So he went, he got his genes tested, and he came back as 8p.23.1 chromosome deletion. And they're like, okay, well, usually it is passed down. So do you want to get yours done? I said, yeah, sure. Okay. So I go, I get mine done. Sure enough, 8p.23.21 deletion. And so we go to see the gene doctor person. They have a special title. I can't remember. A genealogist. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she takes like measurements and weights and, physical, whatever, and goes, okay, well, we don't know a lot about it right now. I'm paraphrasing. Don't know a lot about it right now, but just be aware that you could pass it down. Okay.
Thanks for the warning.
Right. So, maybe in 50 years, right? Because things have got to start somewhere. And this is why the Bedlam podcast is going to be so cool, because we're going to look back 50 years, 100 years and see how far mental health has come. So, you know, in maybe 50 years or whatever, Lev might, I should still be alive. So in 50 years, I might hear about how, oh, now we know what that deletion means for your life. Now we have some kind of connection, but we're like the lab rats of it right now.
Well, I think that's really interesting. That's, but I will tell you that I think that we are, and this is just me, so don't write and Randi-Lee, because
I'm gonna do it.
Okay. But I think that as part of our anatomy, and before we even got here, that it was designed to be a certain way. And that means that it starts at the very smallest pieces of ourselves, which is like DNA. So when that is part of who we are, that it translates into the things that we can pass down to our children, or if they're going to find out, I think, that alcoholism has got a DNA gene
Probably
attached to it, and so does autism and a lot of different things. But that's really good. I'm glad you did that. That's and now in 50 years you'll find out what it means.
Right, exactly. I'll be old and senile, but I'll find out. No, I'll be old and on vacation for life.
I'm on vacation for life, but I'm having the time of my life. So
by then I'll be up to like 60, 70 bucks.
You will be, and your little doggy will have gone all over the world.
Right, he'll be on like his 5th class of kids.
Exactly. We've just got a minute and a half, and Randi-Lee, I would like you to be able to tell our audience anything that you would like them to know.
Buy my book. No,
no, that's buy your book. Exactly.
Buy my book.
rbwriting.ca. rbwriting.ca.
Yeah, definitely reach out, connect. Obviously, I would love if anybody wants to buy any of my books. A lot about mental health, lots of kids' books. They're all available on Amazon. And I would love for you guys to come on over. If you love Kevin's show, I'm sure you'll love my show. We have the same kind of vibes. So come on over to it, Write or Die Show. Hit the like, subscribe button. Do it for Kevin too. And connect. I'm all over social media. RB Meeting on Facebook, and then on Instagram and TikTok, I'm at Randi-Lee Bowslaugh. And if you like animals, my animals have their own TikTok at 4 Cats 3 Dogs.
That is so cool. Now, I've got just a minute, and I just wanted to run this by you, because the changes in your life have been cataclysmically monumental since 2017, and that's only 7 years. You must be very proud of who the lady you are today.
Yes, I don't think I've ever stopped to think about it, because I'm very go. But yeah, I am loving where I am at in my life right now. I've got a great husband. My kids are relatively stable. It's pretty cool to see how far they've gone. I mean, there was times when I'm like, oh my gosh, neither of you are graduating high school, are you? But they're both doing great. I love my grandbaby, love all my animals. So yeah, I am living my best life now.
So I want everybody to recognize that you too, if you're going through a tough time now, that doesn't define you. Doesn't mean that that's where you're going to be. It just is a blip in the road, and you can fix it, and you can get better. And contact Randi-Lee. She might be able to send you in the right direction. You are an incredible young lady. Thank you for coming back on my show. I really, 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 did I say really, have a good time when you're here.
Thanks. I think 5, 6 times now.
At
More?
least.
I don't know.
I don't care. Have you noticed every show's different?
It totally is. Yeah. It's because we're so good at this.
I tell you, it must be something. So Randi-Lee, thank you so much for being here. Go to rbwriting.ca, get all the information about her, and buy her books, please, and listen to her podcast. She's worth it. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin at KM Media.